All right. We're so excited to be here. Good evening, and thank you all for joining us. My name is Beth Spillman, and I've served as the Executive Director of the American Canoe Association since 2019. We appreciate all of you being members of the ACA, and we appreciate your interest in learning more about the possibility of volunteering in 2028. I don't know about you, but watching all the FIFA World Cup games this summer made me even more excited to be the host country for the LA Games. Joining me this evening are three friends from the LA28 Organizing Committee. And we just found out right before the call started that, well, we knew Hoi Chan was a paddler, but that our other two panelists are also paddlers. So that's pretty exciting. First of all, we have Hoi Chan Kwan. Many of you knew Hoi Chan when he worked at the International Canoe Federation, and he is now serving as the LA28 sports manager for canoe and kayak. Joining Hoi Chan is Story Stadler, who's the manager of sport workforce and planning. Story grew up in Asheville, North Carolina, and she and her dad loved to paddle on the French Broad River. And we also have David Michael, who is the Chief Information Officer of the LA28 Olympic and Paralympic Games. And fun fact, David has been an ACA member and instructor for many years. He's been a volunteer canoe kayak trip leader for the Appalachian Mountain Club and a volunteer for the New York Kayak Polo Club. And his wife has actually competed in kayak polo. And so what's really fun is that we only figured this out, in the last few days because David received the same email that you all received inviting you to this meeting. We also have Casey Moss on the call. Casey, many of you know, is the communications manager for the ACA. And before we begin, just one quick word about housekeeping. The only way to ask questions is through the chat function. So please feel free to submit your questions via chat, and we will answer as many questions at the end of the presentation as we can. And if we don't have time to answer all of them, we'll send a follow-up email. So with that, I will gladly turn the floor over to my friends from LA28.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you for that kind introduction. So today, we want to go over some information to give you all that'll help you through your volunteer journey. Hopefully everyone on this call, plus more, will be volunteering for the LA Games. In order to do that, you need some key information from us. We will deliver that. But before that, we already got quite a good introduction from Beth already, so I don't know what else to say for myself. My name's Ho Chan Kwan. Maybe I could say that my title has gone from canoe sport manager to paddle sport manager. Our sport has or is currently going through a brand change from canoe to paddle sports. So International Canoe Federation has rebranded to Paddle Worldwide. Our 3 Olympic and Paralympic disciplines. Canoe Sprint has gone to Sprint Paddle. Canoe Slalom has gone to Slalom Paddle, and Power Canoe has changed to Power Paddle. I will let Story.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Excited to be chatting with all of you. Beth already gave a great introduction. She did say I liked paddling. I did mention that my dad tries to drown me on the French Broad every once in a while. So I have a little bit of experience paddling, but mostly it's been my dad to get me out there. But very excited to be chatting with you. My role primarily is working with all of our sport managers to support them throughout the journey to working through all of their sport volunteers, as well as officials, NTOs, and IFs to bridge the gap and make sure everyone's in line to build out the sport workforce. I'll pass it to David.
Really excited to be here. A very keen kayaker with my wife, Ollie Gottel, between us. We've been paddling for the last 25 years, so really excited to tell you all about LA28 and how you can come and help us with the 2028 Games.
And just like Beth only discovered that both David and Story were paddlers, I too have been working with Story for a month now, only just discovered. Um, Funny story, it turns out I've actually met David a while back in Paris. Games world, very small world, even though sometimes it seems very grand and big. We're all family here. And hopefully you'll be our part of that growing family. Go on to the next slide. So, most of you already know this, but just to make sure, we have canoe sprint. Sorry, I'm going to keep saying that. Sprint paddle, uh, paddle as part of the Olympic Games, along with slalom paddle. And then for Paralympics, we have para paddle. It's only been a few weeks for me with this name change. I've been so familiar with the former name. It's throughout this presentation, again, I'm going to keep referring to as Canoe. Just know, I mean, both are the same. So first is a bit of a game's history. LA has hosted 2 Olympic Games before. This will be the 3rd time. Most of you already know, first time was in 1932. 1932, we did not have any kind of canoeing in the games. Unfortunately, canoe sprint was only introduced in 1936 in the Berlin Olympics. So we just missed that one Olympic cycle to be returning to Marine Stadium. In 84, we did have sprint, but it was in different part of Lake Paris, I believe, which is not the venue we are using for LA28. Slalom was not really introduced until the 92 Barcelona Games. Since then, it's been a part of the permanent program. So the 3rd LA Games will be the first time hosting both canoe disciplines, as well as first time hosting para paddle. I didn't say canoe. Para paddle for the first time.
Yeah, so if anyone has any guesses of days until Olympic Games, they can drop it in the chat. But drum roll, it is 688. So that sounds like a small number, but when you're planning for the games, that is like a shock factor for the LA28 team. But we're super excited. We're only 688 days out, and I'll share a little bit more information now with you regarding the Olympic sport program. So Olympic Games starts on July 14th, goes through July 30th with 51 sports. Mind you, this is Olympics, and we're going to chat through Paralympics as well. 353 events and 11,000 athlete quota. So pretty grand scope here.
And to highlight these numbers, this will be the largest ever games in terms of number of athletes, number of sports, and number of events. And they're saying they, as in the International Olympic Committee and so on, are saying it'll never be this big ever again. But who knows?
Yeah, so just to show you the map, it is all across the United States. You can see in the top left-hand side of the map. While we're going to focus on paddle throughout this presentation, we did want to zoom out and just show you how vast the operation is. So if you have friends and family in St. Louis, Missouri, Columbus, Ohio, New York, we are all across America, it's not just LA. And it's pretty exciting.
That's a great point, Story. So while today's session will cover sports specific to canoe sport and technology, there are other opportunities in food and beverage, security, all different kinds of functions will need volunteers. So I know ACA has members all across the United States. Please have a look on where the closest venue is to your home and please volunteer.
So now days until Paralympic Games, 7/20. So just a few days later. Paralympic sport program by the numbers. So August 15th to August 27th, we have 23 para sports. We have 560 total events. And then 4,400 is the athlete quota there. It's the first time actually that LA has hosted the para side on top of hosting the Olympics. So very excited to fold that element in. Here's the Paralympic Games map, a little more local to LA. And good.
Cool. Now I'll cover the schedules for our paddle sports. First, we kick off with slalom paddle. We have training beginning on July 7th to 13th and competition beginning on July 14th to 23. If you remember seeing the previous slide, July 14th is the day of the opening ceremony. This means, especially located in Oklahoma City, our competitions will start 9 a.m. sharp local time, meaning in LA, it's going to be 7 a.m. Not only were one of the first sports to start our competition each day, we will be one of the first medal events. Maybe the first. We don't know yet. In terms of athlete quota, we have 82 quotas and total of 6 medal events for slalom paddle. Then we transition to sprint paddle in Marine Stadium in Long Beach. So training days begin on July 14th to 24th. Again, the 14th is the day of the opening ceremony. And competition days, we begin competition from July 25th to 29th. We have a bit more athlete quota for sprint. We have 234 total athletes plus and 10 total of 10 medal events. Forgot to mention the venue capacity. So for slalom paddle, which is again located in Oklahoma City, our venue will host around 9,500 spectators each session, each day. And for sprint paddle, around 10,000 each day. Then for Paralympics, our para paddle training days begin August 9 to 23. This is 2 full weeks of training before our competition. We're allowed to do this because the lack or smaller athlete quota that we are able to share the competition venue with rowing. Then we begin our competitions from August 24th to 26th. We have a total of 100 athletes and 10 medal events. Venue capacity is same as Olympics, same stadium.
Great. So now just wanted to get a little more into the nitty-gritty of the actual volunteer program. So applications are already open. There are a few requirements to apply. You have to be 18 or older at the time of application. If you are 17 and you're turning 18, wait to apply. You have to be proficient in English, that's reading and writing. And then you have to be, this is kind of the kicker, available for a minimum of 10 non-consecutive shifts. So you can go 5 days on, 2 days off. That's kind of the flow. So baking in essentially 12 days to be able to work the 2028 Olympic or Paralympic volunteer periods. And then the volunteer periods were on the past slide and then here as well. And then there's that link to apply, but that'll be throughout. Did want to make mention, there are other ways to volunteer, not just during games time. So we're focusing in on games time and some of the opportunities there, but wanted to highlight that leading up to the games, there's more information on our website, but there are local organizations and causes across LA that LA28 is working closely with, and those areas are typically sustainability, restoration, and just making sure that our venues are in a great state going into the games. So if you're interested in leading up to the games, it's a great way to get involved. And then just high level about the application. So questions will cover basic personal information, past volunteer and sport experiences, specialist qualifications, preferred volunteer locations, clothing and footwear sizing. But that's not to say that if you don't have select special skills, you're still encouraged to apply. And allow about 30 minutes to complete the application. So to talk about the journey to joining the crew, step one is the application. You'll hear back roughly Q4, Q1, so end of the year, beginning of next year. So you'll apply. If you don't hear back immediately, don't be alarmed. There's then an assessment period. It'll actually be kind of like a big group hoorah interview where people can come in, and there's a skills assessment, but it's meant to generate some excitement around the games. And that happens between February and June of 2027. Next step would be offer and acceptance. So little caveat, not everyone who applies is accepted, but obviously everyone's encouraged to apply. And then there's training, and then obviously volunteering itself. So before I hand it off to Hoi-chan and David, these are some different groups that you can volunteer for. So we're highlighting sport and technology today, but just so you all are aware, there are ceremonies, communications, driving, experience, medical, operations, and so much more. So when you get into it, when you talk to friends and family, really let them know of these other opportunities that exist outside of these two groupings. Now we'll dive into it.
Cool, thank you. So sport-specific roles. These are people with sports skilled volunteers. We often refer to them as SSVs. But this does not mean you need actual skills in paddling to be able to be an SSV, and I'll go over that. But before that, I just wanted to highlight that volunteers at the Olympic Games are often referred to as the beating heart of the Games. It's because the event of this magnitude would be impossible to execute without the volunteers. I myself started in this whole Olympic movement as a volunteer. It was my first one was in 2014 Asian Games in Korea, my home country. And I know several other sports managers who also started as a volunteer and just found a passion for the sport and the Olympic movement. So sports skilled volunteers, they support the technical officials, international federations, athletes, and us, the LA28 staff. They are appointed by LA28 in consultation with the ACA. The roles and expertise vary by sport. As I said, for our sport, those specific skills really involve being good on the water. In total, across all sports, we'll have around 20,000 sports volunteers for the games. For slalom paddle, we will have over 200 in the city of Oklahoma City. For sprint paddle, around similar number, over 200 in LA, Marine Stadium, Long Beach. Parapaddle will have over 100 sports skill volunteers, again, in Marine Stadium in Long Beach. Now I'll go over the sports skill volunteer roles. So they are referred to as team members. First, we have administration team member. They help prepare the documents and forms to run the competition smoothly. Athlete services, these are people greeting the athletes and taking care of all athlete spaces, including the athlete lounge. They help manage the access, accreditation access. So anywhere that belongs to athletes and team officials only, they make sure no outsiders such as the media are coming in without proper accreditation. I have services. These are the sole liaison for the international federations, whatever they need, if it's the meals or if it's competition related or transportation related, these are the main points of contact. Sport information is where you really welcome all of the team. So you will be the first people to greet the athletes and team as they enter the stadium. You will give updated start times, final results, and any updated start lists as the competition goes through different progressions. There's going to be updated start lists. That's where the teams will go to find these information, as well as what time is lunch, what time is the shuttle back to the athletes' village. So it's a central focal point for all athletes and teams to get their information. Technical official team member is similar to IF services team member, but these people will be servicing the technical officials, both international and national. In total, we'll have around 50 for sprint and 30 for slalom and 40 for para paddle in terms of number of technical officials. Sport equipment team members, these are more hands-on and more venue specific. So sport equipment team members will help with installation of buoys and pontoons throughout various courses. On a sprint course, on a slalom course, they help with the changing of the gates. The gates are the poles throughout the games period. Equipment control. This is a fun one, my favorite one. These equipment control team members help measure post-race athlete equipment. So that's measuring how heavy the boat is, how wide is it, how long is it under regulation, same as does the PFD meet the buoyancy requirement and such. And determining on that, we've seen, and it's a rare occasion and hope never see it, but there has been cases where athletes get disqualified after thinking they have won the Olympic gold medal because their equipment failed the equipment control. Field of play and training team members, they help maintain athlete flow on all the embarkation and disembarkation areas for all the disciplines. They help maintain the cleanliness, but also make sure athletes are going to places when they are supposed to. So if it's pre-race, these team members make sure the athletes make it to the start area on time and not cause any delays. If it's post-race, these team members help athletes go to either the mix zone or equipment control or victory ceremony on time. And then timing and scoring, this is something we share with tech and something David will cover more later on, but these team members assist ITOs and Omega team in terms of timekeeping and results. Also, they are in charge of distributing GPS, for example, for each of the boats for Omega for sprint paddle. And then lastly, if you are a skilled boat driver, we need you to be a volunteer. It's not everyone understands how critical of boat driving is, because you can know how to drive a boat, fine, but you need to understand the rules and regulations on the field of play, because creating that motorboat wake on the field of play causes significant delays to the competition manager. And then I'll pass it on to David.
Thank you, Ho-Chan. So this is a picture I took in Paris 2024 for the Canoe Slalom. It was a lot of fun to watch. So let's look at what the volunteer roles are for technology. The technology team, we support all sports, not just the paddle sports. So it's 51 different competition venues and many non-competition venues as well. So let's get into what those roles are. First of all, tech help desk. We have tech help desks at a number of the key venues. There's another picture I took in Paris. The lady there on the left is a volunteer. and they're there to help people that have technology problems. We're looking for people that have some tech skills, but you don't need to be an expert. You just need to have great customer service skills and be prepared to roll up your sleeves. If we go to the next slide, these are a couple of the stakeholder groups that we're supporting. The world press, media, and photographers. There's going to be 5,000 of them across all the games. This is a picture I took from the press area overlooking the beach volleyball stadium in Paris, right in front of the Eiffel Tower. So you can see it was a pretty hot day. They come with their cameras and they need help. They're photographers, not tech people. The next group are the world broadcasters. So these are the TV people. There's actually 25,000 TV broadcasters that will come to LA to put on these games. It's a really large number of people, and they also need our help. Let's go to the next group. So we talked about Omega. They're our official timekeepers. So they do all the timing and scoring, the results. And they also do this thing called video adjudication. This is one of the volunteers in Paris sitting in front of the video adjudication system for Canoe Slalom. And so this is one of the roles where we need people who know the rules, have got a passion for it, and want to really get involved. Next one. Radio frequency coordination. We do this in collaboration with the FCC, and we're looking for volunteers here who can have a little bit of a technical bent and can help us make sure that all of the wireless stuff that we have for the games, of which there's actually hundreds of thousands of them, everything from wireless microphones to cameras to intercom systems for coaches and officials. They've all got to work together friendly and not cause problems between each other, interference. So that's what that is. We need people to help on that. And the technology rate card desk. This is where, and this one is actually based in the Athlete Village, which is at UCLA. We're going to have 15,000 athletes at UCLA. That's where they will sleep and get fed. And we have a rate card desk there for all of their support staff. So if they have any technology needs, they can come along and request things, and that's how we support them. So that's it. So come and join me in 2028. It's going to be a lot of fun. You too can have a Canoe Kayak Slalom t-shirt, except you'll say LA on it. That's the referral code. And that's me and Ollie, my wife, actually getting a chance to paddle the course at Paris 24 after the games are over. Okay, back to you, Hoi-Chan and Story.
Thank you, David. So you have the tech code. Now you also have sprint, para paddle, and slalom paddle code. Maybe you can refresh us on how to or where to input these codes.
Yeah, so on on the website, it is a few pages in, so you'll do like your bio information and it'll collect background and skills. And then it is a few pages before you put in the code. A common question we'd get is, can I put in two codes? And the answer is no. So you'll select the group that you're interested in and you'll plug in that code. Or if you're interested in one of the other groups, you don't have to input a code at all. But yeah, apply now at LA28.org. You can scan the QR code as well.
Amazing. Okay, so let's answer some questions. Shall we?
You want to stop?
Okay, so we've gotten some pretty basic questions. One was about whether this was for Oklahoma too, and I think answered that. Someone asked if they could get a copy of the slides after the meeting. And I guess, Hoi-Chan, would you all mind sharing those? Okay. And also, we've recorded the call, and so we will put it on our YouTube channel, and Kate will follow up with all of everyone who registered for the event. We'll follow up and let you know about that. There was a question about para paddling, and I think we've answered that. For para, I think para is only 3 days, or para paddling is only the last 3 days of the Paralympics. And for those of you who aren't familiar with para canoe or para paddling, our athletes race in either a kayak or a va'a, and it's really great. We have a couple real stars in our para program. There is, Casey mentioned in the chat, they're competing in Poznan, Poland right now. And one of our paddlers had the fastest time, one of our female paddlers, para paddlers. So that was pretty exciting in the heats. So we're watching to see how she does. And we've got some really great para athletes. So they're, which are really, really fun to watch. Let's see. I did not complete the application in one go. I am now having trouble locking back in, even with the correct password. Who should I contact if I continue to have trouble? Do you know the answer, David? Oh, Story?
Yeah, so they can reach out to volunteer at LA28. There's also a chat feature on the website, so you can try that approach, or you can email them directly.
Okay, great. So what is taking place at the New York venue? Do you know, Hoi-chan, or Story?
Football.
Or soccer.
Soccer or football?
Soccer.
Well, it's football, called globally football. It's still an adjustment.
Okay.
But yes, our soccer.
Okay, our soccer, not to be confused with our new sport, flag football.
Exactly.
Okay. And then can we apply for both Olympic and para, the Olympic and the Paralympics?
Absolutely. Please do.
All righty. The email mentioned events in other cities. Does the application have a spot to select a city?
Yes, you put in your hometown, I believe, and that will be factored into the applications as they come in on the back end.
But if you live, say, in Richmond, but you'd be willing to volunteer in Nashville, is there a place to indicate that?
I'm not quite sure, but I think there was a preference on which sport, despite having the code, which sport you can volunteer for.
Then there's a general information box where you can put that.
Okay. All right. So Hoi-chan, here's a question from Jennifer Hine, who's one of our ITOs. Is there a specific code for technical officials?
For technical officials, no, there isn't.
There's
But
a
please
separate
highlight.
process.
Oh, so to be hired as a technical official for the NTOs, that's a completely different process. I will get the full list from Beth of all the qualified NTOs for each of the disciplines. The LA28 makes the selection. So you don't have to apply through this volunteer program if you're just looking to be a NTO. Having said so, it'll tell me a lot if you want to be an NTO, but that also apply to be a volunteer shows to me your commitment and your passion.
All righty. And then what about other codes, for example, medical?
I'm sure they have them. We don't have access to it, but maybe we can do some investigation and share.
Yeah, you don't really need the code. It's just a referral code. You can still apply. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Pick any of the codes. It's fine.
Okay. Okay, so I think that answers the question. We've already sent in our applications. Do we need to edit our application to input the code? So it sounds like they do not, right,
it's fine.
David?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we've had.
Go
ahead.
I will note, if it's for paddle specifically, it would be worth sharing with Beth or with Hoi-chan that you applied and you want to apply the code. And then on the back end, we are able to attach the code retroactively. Don't cancel your application, but let Hoi-chan or Beth know, hey, I've applied, and we can go in and retroactively add the code.
Okay.
Correct.
So Kathy, we'll make sure you have the codes, Kathy Bowman. So we've had a couple questions about what sort of, I'll just use the word remuneration is provided to the volunteers, or what sort of, what should they expect in terms of, um, what do they, I guess,
Let me
get,
take.
if
Yeah,
anything?
so meals and uniform provided. Accommodations and travel are not. So those are kind of the big buckets.
Okay, and then so and of course everybody loves getting the uniform kits. That's the best part.
Yeah.
Um and so do you all expect not to put a damper on everyone's mood, but will housing be available in LA? I
That's a
mean,
great
not from
question.
you guys, but do you think what do you all hear about that? I know that on the ticketing website they've got Airbnb, so Airbnb is going big in
Yeah.
terms of partnering with you guys. So it seems that that might be an opportunity to find housing.
Yeah, and we work really closely with our accommodations team and are like planning on getting more information pushed out with with some good info to back that. I don't have it right now, but we can follow up with it.
Okay. And there was a similar question about will volunteers get lists of places to stay in OKC, and all of that information is going to be pushed out, um, over the next
Yeah,
several months. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, Beth, maybe we can get that information over to you after this.
So although we don't provide any assistance to get you to the host city, there are transportation systems for workforce to get to the venue. There are different parking rides and public transportation systems designed to get workforce to each of the venues.
Oh, that's a good point, Hoi Chun, because that's a big um, benefit of being a volunteer is being able to get to the venue. Can you tell us more about the availability for 10 non-consecutive shifts? Is that the sports specific volunteers as well as the general volunteer story, or is that just the general volunteers?
It's all volunteers. And in terms of availability, we haven't slated anyone into those positions yet. So they're all available, but if the question is around just more details, so the 10 shifts, they would be non-consecutive because you have to take 2 days off within there. So it would maybe be 5 days on, 2 days off, another 5 days. So the non-consecutive comes in because it might be more like 12 days, 13 days, 14 with travel days, depending on if you're coming in from out of town.
So
So it is a
if
big
sprint
commitment.
is only if sprint is only 5 days and you're expected to work 10 consecutive shifts, does that mean you would work at the sprint venue? Or maybe this is too specific, but you would work at this sprint like at the Long Beach, um, helping with the training, and then you would move into the competition, or would you work on another sport and then move into the?
It's really up to availability, and it's going to be a scheduling puzzle. But again, yeah, we do have training. So even for power paddle, we only have 3 days of competition, but we have 2 full weeks of training that we need those volunteers for.
Okay.
And for most days, we have 2 ships per day. So
Yeah.
goes quick.
Yeah.
Well, and the great thing about Long Beach, for the Olympics and the Paralympics is that there are going to be so many other sports that will be in the same zone, beach volleyball and climbing, and I think not archery, that's in a different one, but there's a lot going on in Long Beach, so that makes it really a really fun zone to be in, I think, for volunteers and for spectators, because there'll be a lot going
Absolutely.
on
I
there.
mean, the people who are familiar with sprint paddle, we've always had our venues way outside the host city. Takes an hour to get there. There's nothing around. It's middle of nowhere. But in Long Beach Marine Stadium, beautiful neighborhoods going along the course. It's really, really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Marine Stadium was built for the 32 Olympics for rowing, and so it's an historic um, venue. All right. We've had a lot of questions about the links. People are concerned about the links. why don't we do this? Casey, why don't we post tomorrow on the homepage of the ACA website, which is americancanoe.org, that what do we call that session, that special section? We'll post just a quick summary with the link to the video on YouTube, as well as the codes, so that everybody knows where they are, and they'll be super easy to find because they'll be right on the americancanoe.org homepage. Does that?
I'll do that, and I'll also send an email to everyone who registered for this event with all that information. So it'll go to your email as well.
Okay.
Amazing.
Well, any parting words? Anyone? I mean, you all did a great job with the presentation. Thank you for your time. I learned a lot. All those roles that you listed, Hui Chan, we need a lot of people to make this run smoothly. And I will agree with Hui Chan about the heartbeat of the games, or the volunteers. The volunteers in Paris were unbelievably gracious and helpful, and we want to outshine, well, not in a bad way, but we want to outshine the previous Olympics.
We do.
So it's okay. So it's up to all of our volunteers, and thank you all so much for being on the call. If you have any questions, you can also submit through the ACA website. You can submit a question that way. And we just want to make sure that we give everyone all the information they need to make a great decision about whether they or what role they want to play, not whether or not they want to volunteer, but what role they want to play in either the Olympics or the Paralympics. So thanks again, everyone. We were thrilled to have such a great turnout, and we look forward to seeing you all in Oklahoma City or LA in 2028.
Thank you very much, everyone,
you.
for your time. Looking forward
Thank
to meeting
you.
you all in person.
Thanks all.
All
Thank
right.
you.